Okay, last video for today. We're going to do science. I asked you to do page 57, the lesson check, and page 58 and 59, which is a self-check, which is kind of like a take-home test. So I also asked you to read the chapter so that you can use what we learned about matter and properties of matter to help you answer the questions. So let's look at can you explain it on page 57. I realize we already did this, but as I said in my email last night, this is a more in-depth look at what's another use for rubber. And you're using what you learned in the chapter to answer what's another use for rubber. So let's look at the chapter. Turn to page 44. So we have matter is anything that takes up space. Look at the pictures to explore some properties of matter. Color. Color is a property you can see. One leaf is green, the other leaf is red. Well, I don't think color really matters with rubber. Shape. Shape is the form a material has. It is a property you can see. The safety object is shaped like a cone. The box is shaped like a rectangular prism. Shape could be something a property you would need for rubber, but we'll see. Hardness. Hardness is how easy it is to change the shape of a material. It is a property you can feel. A marble is hard, a cotton ball is soft. So I would think hardness would be one of the properties we need to look at. Texture. Texture is what a material feels like. It is a property you can feel. The light brown rock is rough. The dark brown rock is smooth. So texture could be one of the properties we need to look at for a rubber tire. Flexibility. Flexibility is how much a material can bend. It is easy to bend the chenille sticks. They are flexible. It is not easy to bend the craft sticks. They are stiff. So flexibility is definitely a property we're going to look at and we're going to write about with our tires, with our rubber tires. Matter has properties. A property is one part of what something is like. You can observe properties of matter with all your senses. Color, shape, hardness, and flexibility are some properties of matter. These properties can be used over and over to describe matter. This forms a pattern. So then we can look at solid. A solid, on page 848, a solid is a state of matter that keeps its shape. It will not change unless you do something to it, such as cut, bend, or break. A solid keeps its shape even when you move it. These properties can be used over and over to describe solids. This forms a pattern. Buildings, trucks, and chairs are all solids. So rubber is definitely a solid. It is not a liquid. A liquid is a state of matter that does not have its own shape. It flows to take the shape of its container. The liquid in the tall glass has the same shape as the glass. If the liquid is poured into a wide bowl, the liquid takes this bowl's shape. These properties can be used over and over to describe liquids. This forms a pattern. Okay, and we looked at the types. So let's look at page 50 where it says rubber tires. These tires are rubber. Rubber is strong and flexible. These properties of rubber give bike tires a smooth ride. So we can definitely use that material, right? I hope you guys had fun with your filling your pillowcase with different materials to see which one is softest. So, or makes the best pillow. Maybe you like a firm pillow. I don't know. So hope you guys had a fun time with that. And let's look at page 57 now. Let's start filling it out if you want. So we need to describe, so do you see these are the bulleted items? So when you see a bulleted item, that means that needs to be included in your answer. So it says, be sure to describe the properties of rubber, name the object that would make rubber using rubber, name the object you would make using rubber, and explain why these properties make rubber good to use for your object. Okay. So the object I want you to say that you would use is the same object that you wrote on this page. Okay, so that's the object. I don't want you to use a bicycle tire. Okay, so what did it say on page 50, where it says rubber tires, right? It says these tires are rubber. Rubber is strong and flexible. So those are the properties of rubber, right? So I would start with that. Rubber is strong and flexible. You all should have that, okay? Then you're going to say, I would use rubber for, and I put on here balls or rubber mats. So I think I will use rubber for rubber mats, okay? So I would use rubber for, I would use rubber for, and you're going to fill that part out, okay, with whatever you put on page 46, I believe it was, okay? And then tell me why the properties would make your object why the properties would make rubber a good use of your object. So, if I used rubber mat, a mat, I would then say a mat needs to be flexible, right? Because if you fall on it, we don't want it hard because then you're gonna break something. So a mat needs to be flexible. So it has give when you use it, when used. Okay, but it also, another property we need to write about is strong. So a mat needs to be strong to support weight, because you're either going to have one person on it or lots of people on it, right? So you need to tell me how your object needs to have strength and needs to have flexibility. Okay, does that make sense? So give me the properties of rubber, which are on page 50, and then name your object by using that. So I will put page 50 here. You're going to find that answer on page 50. And the object that you would make, you're going to find on page 43, not 46. So you're going to use the object that you wrote about on page 43. And then you're going to tell me why that object needs to be strong and flexible, okay? Why it needs to be strong, why it needs to be flexible, okay? And I will send this today also, so you have those pages to look at. I may not send what I wrote about a mat, but I will send those things, okay? And then you are going to complete your lesson check or your self-check. Now, if you've noticed, in the past ones we've done, some of them can have multiple answers. If you find one that has two answers, that two answers could be the right answer, fill them both in, because they could have multiple answers, okay? And a lot of you are just putting in one, Also, don't fill them all in because some of you are just filling them all in. And last time we did this, one was very obviously the wrong answer, and some just filled it in, and it was like, read it, please. So I would like you to read it. Read the lesson, read the questions, read the answers that are possible very carefully before you do this, because God gave you this wonderful brain. You need to use it, okay? So that's our science for the day, and we'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye, guys.